I'm Nick Brown. Welcome to Bolsena and the World Carp Classic 2013. I'm not the presenter you're expecting. That should have been Ross, the founder of the World Carp Classic, but this is a huge event and unfortunately we can't pin him down every second of the day. He's been caught up with a number of sort of ongoing issues, so at the moment you're stuck with me. Hopefully we'll do a decent job. This is the first live TV from Bolsena, the first live TV ever done from any fishing brand across the world, so it's something really nice and exciting to be involved with. As I say, I'm not on my own. I've got two friends of the World Carp Classic, two guys from Dynamite Baits who are obviously the principal sponsors this year and for a few years yet to come, we hope. Just ask these guys to introduce themselves.
Yeah, thanks Nick. I'm Darryl Hodges, Export Sales and Marketing Manager for Dynamite.
Hi Nick, I'm Gerard Williams and I'm Sales from Dynamite.
Okay, so we've got two of the big boys that properly understand everything about the company and the baits and everything that Dynamite produce, and obviously they've been involved with the World Carp Classic intrinsically over the last few months and have been here on the bank for the last few days as everything's got going. So I just wanted to catch up with them and have a little chat about, basically to start with, how they got involved in the World Carp Classic. So over to you guys. Where does it come from? Why are Dynamite involved in this year and for years to come? What is it that got your attention with the World Carp Classic?
Okay, Nick. Well, I'll probably answer that one. I'll try not to go on for too long. But I first met up with Ross at FTEX in Vienna in June, and obviously Ross came up to us in his kilt and started trying to give us a bit of a sales pitch. And obviously we were busy on our stand, on the Rappler stand, so we arranged to meet him in the hotel that night. And Ross turned up bang on time, as he always does, never. And yeah, we had a beer and we sat down, we went through his presentation and his credentials, and yeah, we were all really impressed with obviously what he had to say. And we obviously kept the dialogue open for the next week or so, and I think within 2 weeks we'd agreed, yeah, we want to be part of this because, you know, Ross had made it sound very special. And I have to say, you know, the few days I've been here now, it's certainly, he wasn't selling porkies. It
is unrivaled, isn't it? I mean, yeah. I work with Ross on the World Carp Classic on a sort of an outsourced basis from a PR, photography and video point of view. But obviously I knew about the World Carp Classic. We all know that it happens every year and we all know it's a huge event. But we don't really know until you're here quite how huge it is.
Until you actually, I would say to anyone listening, until you've experienced it and actually seen it and felt it and lived it, you cannot understand it.
I mean, obviously we came out for live TV a few months back where we sort of trialled the technology that we were doing, and we trialled a few areas of the lake and the Wi-Fi and everything else that we've got set up here. And the first view as you come round on the journey from Rome, it's a breathtaking place before the event actually starts, isn't it?
For sure.
I mean, you've got a huge lake with depths going from inches to sort of several hundred feet.
Yeah.
You've got volcanic cliffs coming out the middle of the lake. You've got islands bigger than my syndicate back in the UK. I mean, the whole place is breathtaking.
It's a beautiful, beautiful location, and the town as well. It just adds a real good vibe to the whole place.
Yeah, and we've definitely overtaken this town over the last few days, haven't we?
Without a doubt, yeah.
Okay, so obviously you saw Ross, and the whole thing sort of grabbed your attention. So what is it that Dynamite want to achieve about being, obviously you're a massive brand in the UK and across Europe, so is there anything else for you guys to achieve? Or
yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole sort of World Carp Classic thing fits with our strategy entirely, because I mean, I sell to around about 26, 27 different countries.
Which is exactly the amount of countries you've got here.
Which is exactly the amount of countries you have fishing. So you look at them on paper and they are like for like. So obviously some of the countries we sell to, they already do qualifiers, but the one thing we want to do is obviously really open it up to every angler, no matter who they are, and we want to do qualifiers in all those countries. And you know, the cost of getting involved is sort of outweighed by, I do advertising in some of these countries or help our distributors advertise by doing these qualifiers. You know, the coverage we will get from that, working with the anglers, and we'll ultimately put Dynamite on a pedestal.
So you're talking about qualifiers. Obviously, from a UK point of view, we don't have a national qualifying to represent England as a set team. Obviously, we've got the likes of Lee Jackson and Rob Tuff and Martin Locke and everyone fishing under the English banner. And if they won, they'd be an English winner, but they're not Team England.
No.
Like you've got Serbia and Poland and South Africa. So you're talking about Dynamite producing a whole series of events that will create a
Definitely, that's our plan. I mean, obviously, as you said, we came on board quite late in the day. So literally, I think we had 7 weeks to get ourselves ready, get some teams together, get all the marquee done, get all the collateral done, get all the stuff for the anglers, etc. And yeah, what we would like to do is do qualifiers in all the countries that we already sell baits to. We're already represented, but it's going to help us. The UK, I'm not responsible for the UK currently. It's handled by our distributor in the UK, Shimano.
Okay.
But we'll work very closely with them, and they've already said they'll support us to do qualifiers in the UK, hopefully going forward as well.
So fingers crossed. This time next year, when we're sitting here, maybe hopefully at Bolsena or wherever we are, there'll be an English team that's gone through a qualifier.
That'd be perfect.
That's here to represent
what we
under the
be.
Dynamite banner.
Yeah.
Here at the World Carp Classic.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously that's going to generate a lot of interest in itself.
And a lot of work.
Yeah, of course. There's obviously going to be a huge amount of people from especially the UK, because it's not been done before, that are going to be ears are pricking up to that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when you look at the Facebook pages right now, World Carp Classic on Facebook 2030, also the Twitter page, World Carp Classic Twitter. If you just put this, if people are put out there now watching Facebook or the Twitter pages, literally just put hashtag WCC15 at the end of every post that you do, and the guys in the media HQ are going to be monitoring your responses. So hopefully we'll get a few decent questions from you guys. You might want to ask the guys from Dynamite a few questions as well. But we'll give you a few minutes to get on with that. And if there's anything about the qualifiers that you need clarifying, then this is the time to do it, because these guys are here for a little while now to talk about it. So you were talking earlier about you get here and it all doesn't quite sink in quite how big an event it was. And I guess that's kind of summed up by the parade and the flag bearing and the marching music and the aggression. I mean, it was sensational. I mean, it's the first time I've been here, so that was the first time I've seen it, and I was obviously filming and photographing it, but I wanted to get out there and start marching with it. I mean, it was pretty awesome, wasn't it?
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Walking through that town centre, being up front with Roth as well, and Daryl.
Yeah, you guys obviously led the parade with the Roman soldier.
I
mean, for the guys that obviously you guys were lucky enough to be here, and you guys were lucky enough to be at front. But for those watching at home, we've actually got a little VT of the event itself, of the parade. So if we cut to that now and let you see quite how amazing it was.
Being here in a position to talk about the World Carp Classic and what's been going on over the last few days. There was a tremendous opening ceremony, and it's really been exciting to see all the national flags and all the different competitors from all the different countries interact. And the opening ceremony is always an important part of the World Carp Classic, and it's a special moment to see all the national flags go through the town of Bolsena, as the case yesterday, and then for all the flags to be welcomed into the opening theatre and and come up onto the stage is absolutely a fantastic occasion. And on top of that, also to have a brilliant band and Roman trumpets playing at the same time, it really was a special moment. And I think looking at the different things that have gone on, it'd be really good to have a look at actually what did go on yesterday, so we can actually let you see what happened. So I think being here with Nick and the guys from Dynamite and a lot of the other sponsors as well, I think it's been great to be here celebrating what's going on. But the trumpets up on stage, you just imagine being in that room as the flags came in. You see your country, everybody's up applauding and taking photographs, and the trumpets playing up on the stage. It was just an amazing sound, tremendous atmosphere, and there was a great buzz as everybody came into the room. To see all the great names of carp angling that are participating in the event, it's really a tremendous emotional moment. And then, of course, the event couldn't start without the trophy. The trophy being brought in by the defending champions, and that was it. That was the moment that the event really started for 2013, the World Carp Classic. I think being up on stage, it was tremendously hot up there, and I was up there for quite a long time, getting ready for the peg draw. But yeah, absolutely great, really, really great moment, and I think it's great to be sharing that with so many other people as well. But what you've got to do is hashtag on Twitter and WCC, so hash WCC15, and also look at the Facebook. There's absolutely loads and loads of interaction going on Facebook at the moment, and there's different questions starting to come in, which we're going to take and start to answer in a minute. So if you've got questions, please feel free to ask them freely, and we'll be happy to. In fact, we've got one just coming in at the moment from Scott. Scott's on live stream. How do you start on a lake like this? That's a very good question, actually.
Shall I start on this one and pass over to you?
Yeah, I knew I'd start on this one.
Well, I mean, a big lake is a big lake, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't really matter where it is.
I've never seen anything as big as this.
I mean, this is a huge chunk of water, and to be honest with you, especially for the UK guys who are used to little intimate syndicates, I think you could come here pretty daunted, if I'm honest, as you come over around that bend and see literally hundreds of thousands of acres of water. You could be pretty daunted.
Yeah.
But I've done a bit of fishing in France on places like Cassian, and I guess the best way to do it is break it down into manageable parts where you sort of forget the rest of the lake and you concentrate. And in this situation, obviously, it's easy. You've got 250 metres deep by a couple of 100 yards wide. That's it. That's it for a week. So you do what you can with that chunk of water.
Perimeters, don't you?
Yeah.
Try different tactics, different rigs, different depths, looking at your weathers, looking at your cloud cover, see where them fish are in that upper layers, etc., etc.
I mean, it's the same as fishing anyway, isn't it? Fishing is fishing.
Yeah. Yes, that certainly.
But I mean, if you were going to come here on a pleasure trip, a non-World Carp Classic related trip, then I guess the best thing would be to speak to a local long before you get here. I mean, I know Four Seasons, the guys from Four Seasons who are great friends of the World Carp Classic, are a massive help to a lot of anglers that come out here. You can't come out here without a boat. You can, but I wouldn't recommend it. You can't come out here without life jackets and outboard motors and leisure batteries. A fair bit of bait. I don't think it needs to be thousands of kilos, but these fish are big fish, and when they move in, if there's not enough.
Yeah, I've heard of a few of the Italian guys who we've got to know over the period of last week in Bivy City, and I mean, a lot uses maize, a lot uses boilies, etc. So there's no rhyme or reason really. You've had quite a lot of
something to drop them down, whatever it may be, if it's decent quality.
Big shoals to move around in, so whether you want them there for a long time, smaller baits with a picking at it, or whether fishing for a fish, who knows really.
I mean, I guess like me, your first thing to do when you got here, if on a trip with yourself, would be to find where the wind's hitting.
Yeah, certainly.
To find that windward
certainly.
bank.
Me and Daryl's been round for at least 3-4 hours today, just seeing our anglers and talking to some other anglers, and that wind crashing in there, it just looks so perfect. I wish I brought my rods with me. I know I can't fish, but I wish I got my rods. I'm so jealous.
A lake this size, the slightest breeze is magnified 1,000 times, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, the slightest breeze where you and I would hardly feel it is a 6-inch wave.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So when that's hitting that bank and stirring up all that naturals and the weeds moving about, that is number one, isn't it?
That
is. You know, if you're here on your own and you can get anywhere around that lake, first place first, get on that windward bank, find out sort of the temperatures that you're in. Is it hot? So maybe they're going to be in the shallow water.
That's exactly what I'd do in different circumstances. Obviously, we know this is a World Carp Classics. You can't move from your swims. But I'd be looking at that weather constantly from day in, day out. I'd be mobile. So as soon as that wind were changing round, my gear would be in car. I'd be around the circumference. I know is it 44 kilometres? 43, yeah.
It took me an hour and a half to drive round this morning.
Exactly, yeah. So I'd be driving round, see where that wind were changing to, and I'd just put a little plan together. I'd pre-bait a few spots if I were down here with the guys.
I mean, it's not like a 6-acre lake at home, is it? If you pre-bait a zone, there's a very good chance no one's going to be in it when you come back 2 days later.
No.
So that's what we'd do.
There's a question just coming from Scott. How did the cake turn out? That's a good question. I mean, there was a fantastic cake that was actually made locally and decorated by Terry Greenhouse, a 3D cake. Absolutely brilliant. It was yummy, actually. We tried it today.
I was lucky enough to... Did you get some?
Well, I was actually there with Ross, because the guys who won it last year went round to their swims, and Ross actually cooked the cake. Well, the guy cooked the cake and then shared it out. So just in the background I was, and I actually had a piece.
It was pretty edible,
It was pretty special to have a piece of the World Cup carp cake, shall I say.
Yeah, I mean, it looked amazing, and it didn't taste far worse, to be honest. We thoroughly enjoyed everything about that cake. Yeah. There's none left. That way, I didn't eat it all myself, but I had a good go.
Well, what we did with the defending world champions or World Carp Classic champions is we asked them to actually make a mark on the cake as to where they thought their fish had been caught from, or at least the area that they won the competition from. We cut that section out, and that's actually going to be going back to Romania with them. They've actually kept that bit
and put it in the shoebox.
Exactly.
Was I right in thinking that last year that swim was hugely unfancied where they were?
It was. I mean, it's incredible. That peg, because the peg draw that we had last year was very different from this year. Last year, you had the opportunity of drawing a peg. You had 10 seconds to decide whether or not you wanted to keep it.
Right.
And if you wanted to keep it, that's great. Then you kept it. If not, then you could put it back and get another one.
Right, okay.
But and that
second guessing yourself all the time. Basically.
But the winning peg actually went back 4 times last year. So 4 people had the winning peg actually in their hands.
Because I've heard that even the Romanians, because it was their second pick, wasn't it? I've heard that they weren't too interested in in fishing it themselves. They nearly sort of didn't quite go into it 100%, thinking there was no chance for win from it.
Exactly.
So it shows that this place is about as good as you can get, really, for the event, doesn't it?
The thing is, the lake itself, it's a vast, immense water, and I mean, the carp are absolutely everywhere. I mean, that was one of the things with the competition last year. In previous events that we've run, 146 carp that was the biggest number. That was the greatest number of carp that had ever been caught in the competition. But last year we had 500 carp caught. So, and they were caught from all over the lake, apart from one section, and that section we haven't pegged this year. So it's a vast lake.
And they're not 1 kilo fish either, are they? They're not like 1-2 kilo fish. You're not fishing for match fish, are you? These are all sort of 15 kilos and upwards, really, on average, aren't they?
That's the average of the average size of the carp in the lake that were being caught. 15 kilos, just imagine. And one of the things about these the carp in Lake Bolsena, they're massive. They're long, really long and strong. They're golden in colour and really, really hard fighting. And when you get a take, they go straight for the middle of the lake. So yeah, really, really.
I mean, I was lucky enough to grab a rod, wasn't I, on the live stream for all those people that are watching through either Facebook and the Twitter, etc. Sort of a couple of months back. I mean, I was lucky enough to hook into one of those fish, and they are basically, if anyone's seen St Lawrence River fish, it's St Lawrence River fish in this lake, aren't they? They are incredibly long and lean, and the power.
They're beautiful colour as well, aren't they, Nick?
So deep and gold, yeah.
Beautiful colour, yeah. Yeah, I'm so jealous again.
they're
And all the
proper,
guys who I've met
yeah.
in Bivy City, they've been saying, "Oh, Gerard, look at this!
Look at the
Look at this!
photo."
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
no,
it.
They are
stop
incredible
it! Stop
carp.
it! Yeah, they're
They're brilliant
fantastic.
fish.
A lot of things are going up on Facebook and all the different things, and I think it's important. You know, if you want to do something or post the message up, it's hashtag WCC15 on Twitter.
Yeah,
So,
and you can do that on Facebook as well to get the trending going on there.
Absolutely. Well, look, we've got more questions that are coming in. We've got Andres who's asking, which section is our favourite?
I'll
Well-
let you have that first.
The section that wins.
He'd be a politician.
The section, we've got a few of our anglers down there. It's the Capodimonte side. The wind's really pushing in there at the minute, especially with this storm. If I'm honest, I haven't it's the first time I've actually been around the lake because we've been pretty busy down in Bivy City with the dynamite stand and talking to all the anglers and with various activities that's been going on, like the games and etc. So it's been quite nice because we've gone all the way around today, but it
was the first time you've got to see the whole place.
the first time I got to see the place, but it really depends on where that wind's blowing
It does,
in.
doesn't
It
it? Yeah.
certainly does, yeah. It certainly does.
I mean, when we got here, obviously we're in Bolsena now, and that's where Bivy City was. When we got here, I think the wind had been hacking into this bank for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, it had, yeah.
And
Southwesterly, it was
yeah,
coming in,
yeah,
wasn't it?
and everyone was thinking, and we've seen fish crashing sort of 100 yards out, haven't we? And we all thought,
Yeah, I heard that a few times, yeah.
And we're all thinking, oh, this looks good, but then everyone started looking at the weather apps, and it was meant to swing 180, and it's been absolutely spot on, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it has
spot
swung
on. It's
180.
exactly what them apps said and the weather forecast.
Yeah.
It's done today.
So this bank that we're on now is right on the back of the wind now. It's
Yeah.
dead calm out here, and apparently the waves are 2.5 feet on the other
On the
side,
other side,
13
yeah.
miles away.
I think
put my
that's-
jacket on when I went round.
That really is the thing. I mean, what is quite staggering about this lake, it can be flat calm on this side and literally massive great big waves over the other side of the lake. I mean, it really is quite remarkable.
Well, last night we had a massive storm, didn't we? We were watching it here in our shorts and t-shirt, and on the other bank they were huddled under trees
Yeah.
and trolleys because they were in the middle of an enormous storm. So I mean, it's two totally different worlds, isn't it, from one side to the other? But that, I would guess that would be my pick
Yeah.
as well over there. Just one, we know they're there. That's where we fished on live TV. Well, I think we had 30 odd fish in 4
Yeah.
days. Fishing
And
there over 100 yards, basically, not even that wide.
That was it. It was 50-metre section of
So they're
bank.
there anyway, aren't they? They do like that area.
It's like it was a little bit though, Nick, isn't it? I mean, some people like being laid in the sun. Some people don't.
Yeah, there
Some
will be
people like
fish everywhere,
swimming,
won't there?
Some
Yeah.
people don't. So
Yeah.
the fish do follow the winds, but some fish don't like the wind, so they get on the back of it. So
Yeah.
I think there'll be fish caught all over.
Definitely.
Actually.
And there
Yeah.
are other swims as well that are chocker with weed.
Yes.
So, and you know,
yes.
like I do, that it doesn't really matter where there's always going to be residents, aren't
There's
there?
always going to be fish
So,
where weed is, yeah, definitely.
People like Frank Warwick, who are right in the middle of a weedy bay.
That's when I've just been round, actually.
Yeah, I think if he gets comfortable with landing them in that situation, which obviously he's done this for years. Hasn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah.
I think he might be a little dark horse from a
Yeah,
fairly unfancied area.
if Frank can't do it, I don't think nobody can it?
No, so I think that could be a little outside bet.
Well, guys, we've got another question that's come in. Zach on Facebook. He'd like to know if there's a chance of a qualifier in the USA.
Well, I think Daryl, when he comes on a little bit later, because that's what I think he'll be talking to you about, the qualifiers. I'm more the sales, so I can't really. I know they're working on some qualifiers, so there's a possibility, but I can't say 100%.
Let's come back to Daryl on that one.
Yes.
We'll have a chat with
Yes,
Daryl about
definitely,
that.
yeah.
Because I think the qualifying structure that's going to be set up and how that's going to work is really exciting. It means that really at grassroots level, all anglers will have the opportunity of getting involved in the World Carp
I
Classic.
think it's a fantastic idea, yeah.
So, well, look, we got another question that's come in from Toby on live stream. What was the yellow card awarded for?
So this is someone that obviously was following the Facebook competition that we had last night.
Sure.
It was nothing serious. Obviously it was a yellow card, so it's not a joke. But it wasn't something to be that ashamed of. It was a bit of gossip mongering. Let's put it that way. That caused the marshals quite a headache at 11 o'clock last night in the rain.
And I think at the end of the day, there were 2 senior marshals that went out around the lake
In the dark,
in
in
the
the
dark
rain,
for
yeah.
3 hours, and,
Yeah.
and that wasted a massive amount of time.
Because
and,
of some rumour mongering that wasn't actually true, unfortunately.
yeah.
So that was that really. It was no sort of foul play or anything, but it was just wasting marshals' time. I think would be the official reason, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, and I think it's important that this is a fair play event, and we're here to run an event. It's being professionally run, and I think that's an important thing. But as well as that, we've got some new things that we're actually introducing this year, thanks to one of our new sponsors, Ray Marine. We've got night vision, and they're really cool. It's really good. Literally, in the pitch black, you can see perfectly. So as well as actually being able to see perfectly in the dark for literally as far as you can see, it's also got thermal imaging as well. So any hot spots, both day and night, in fact, that you can see exactly where any of the hot spots are. That also means that from a safety and security point of view, we've got a boat with one of these big night vision and thermal imaging screens on. So it provides a lot of safety and backup to what's going on. But it's exciting to get this new equipment that we've got this year.
How did you first trial the Ray Marine night vision, Ross? Do you remember?
That's a very good question. I'm pleased you asked me that. I think I got given one of these night vision.
It's like a monocle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's like a
yeah.
monocle. And anyway, on one of the trips out previously this year, I was in my room, and over in Italy, there's shutters on the windows. So literally, it was a pitch black, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I needed to find where the door was. And I know that sounds like a really stupid thing, but the way that I found the door was literally, I knew that the night vision was right next to my bed. Put my hand over, grabbed that, put that up to my eye, and that was it. I could see.
Disorientated, weren't you? And then
completely see. It was like daylight in my bedroom.
It's not as bad as I thought it were going to be, Ross. Believe me, it's not as bad. I got some thoughts running through then. I thought,
it could have gone downhill from that point, couldn't it? Yeah.
But the thing is, because it's actually got thermal imaging and it picks up all the heat. Literally, it's quite incredible what you can see. So literally on the sand and all the different things that are going to be going on. So we'll come back to Ray Marine shortly, and I think that'll be really good. So we'll have a look at that.
So with regards to Ray Marine, so we've got the night vision, and they've also launched a new echo sounder here, I think, haven't they?
Yeah, but I think what we'll better do is we'll better put some information up in a minute, and we'll have a good look at that just to see what's going on. Because I think it would be really good to actually let people see how good this equipment is. It really is something special.
Well, we've been lucky. We've had it demonstrated to us a few times, haven't we?
Certainly have, yeah. And with Fiona being with us today, I tried just planting a seed, Fiona. If you want any trying out, Fiona, I do go to France and Europe quite a lot fishing. Yeah. So
basically, it's like a top of the range, affordable sort of echo sounder system, isn't it? With a bit more modern technology.
It certainly is.
I think we've actually got something to show later to show an actual demonstration of how it works, so people can see really how it works. But from my point of view, as an English angler that doesn't use these day in, day out, it looked really easy to use, didn't it?
Probably like yourself, Nick. I've used various fish finders, echo sounders, been to Rainbow, various places like that on bait boats, etc. And those actually look spectacular because they show everything. They show how deep the weed is.
Yeah.
I think it's just the technology that's in it, and
they actually produce like a photo and the traditional what you would expect to see from an echo sounder, didn't they?
It certainly does. Yeah, I'm certainly
right. Okay, guys, let's have a look at the Ray Marine VT and see what it actually does.
Well, it's a new event for us, so carp fishing is really quite a different world. What we've decided to do is to bring our new Dragonfly product. It's very, very simple. We brought it out earlier this year, but it's a completely different setup, completely different price point, and completely different technology from what we've done before. So it has a GPS in it, so it's a chart plotter, and with the inbuilt GPS, but it also has two forms of sonar in it, and so it has the down vision, which is what we're showing here, which is made from this part of the transducer here, and then it also has chirp sonar here, which is then in this part of the transducer, and then the normal things like what temperature the water is, which is from here. It's very, very easy to fit. So there's one single connection at the back of the product, and then you have a wire that goes out to your 12-volt supply, and then that same wire also goes round to your transducer. So it's literally plug it into the 12-volt, put the connector into the back of the display, transducer in the water, and off you go.
Well, that was Ray Marine, and hopefully that gave you a bit of an insight in terms of how the equipment works and the different things that's going on there. But we've got a daily show. This is we're going to be bringing you daily updates from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock every day of the World Carp Classic, and also, of course, as we get further into the event, we're going to update you in terms of what's going on, the fish that are being caught, and all that information is going to be on Facebook as well, and also on Twitter. So keep up to date with that, and all that information will be updated there. But it's going to be an exciting few days, I think. We've got fish that will be I'm sure there will be fish caught tonight, that's for sure.
I'm 100% sure fish will get caught tonight. I mean, you've got to remember, obviously, we only started at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and when you've got such an enormous amount of water, you're going to take a fair few hours to...
The anglers will take 2 or 3 hours getting the spots. They won't even put a bait on, will they, Nick?
No,
really?
I mean...
They'll find the spots, bait them up, and then drop the baits on later. What do you think? I think so.
Personally, I'd have left it tonight altogether.
Yep.
I'd have done all my groundwork. I know that sounds crazy in a match, but we've got 5 days ahead of us. And personally, I would do an awful lot of all my groundwork this afternoon. Obviously, you have plenty of time to set your camp up, so I would just investigate my swim as far as possible, basically. Have it ready to go, have the lines marked up for the morning, and as soon as I could see, I'd be out there dropping them. Hopefully they've had a feed in the night, and try and nick one first thing.
Definitely be interesting, like the question said, where the first fish will be from. See whether we're right or not.
Do you think the first, because they're still going to be hanging off the back of it to start with, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
So you could easily pick one up on this area, Bolsena side. I mean, you can pick them up all week, but they could easily be here now for a quick bite, couldn't they?
It's been interesting as well going round earlier. Some people are fishing 10 metres out. Some people are going to the boundary, 250 metres. So I'm sure that them fish will be all over. It's just going to be exciting times. As soon as we find out later, obviously on your Facebook or Twitter, which first fish have been out, to see where it's actually come from.
Well, I've kind of got free rein with regards to the photography side and all the filming. So I basically get up as soon as I can and get out. And I was on the bank at about 7:15 this morning, well, just as it was light enough. And I went down to Bibby City with the guys, and I followed Rom and Renko, who were fishing for JRC, who a lot of people will know. And I went down with them, and within about 20 minutes, we'd seen about 15 shows.
Was that just stuff in the middle, like the middle swim?
That was in Spom 87, I think that is.
Yes,
Ron and Remco are in, which is just outside the restaurant, and you've got the Italian Dynamite Baits team of Daniele and Riccardo, sort of just the other side. 5 or 6 hours of video, and we're not even making the official video. Obviously, the guys from PVTV and stuff are producing huge amounts of footage. So I did notice that obviously the guys are allowed to fish up to 250 metres, aren't they? This year? I didn't see one fish anywhere near that far out. Every fish we saw was within 100 metres of the bank.
Yes, the fish,
you could cast
definitely, casting range.
Yeah.
I think even when we came over here for the live programme we did earlier on in the year, the fish at maximum 150 metres out.
We were kind of dictated to by the underwater cameras, weren't we? That they couldn't be in any more than 5.5, 6 metres of water. So that was maybe 120 yards, English money, and they had all those fish on them. I mean, all the guys that were fished in that, I think it was 4 anglers, including Larissa, Jason, Riccardo, Daniele, and Roberto. They had a huge amount of fish within 150 yards of the bank. So you don't have to stretch your boundaries, do you?
No, I think the thing is, I mean, it's important that as you're talking about watercraft earlier on and what the anglers are actually doing. I mean, do you want to just run through? So, what would you actually do if you came here and in terms of the watercraft, it's working out where you're going to place your baits? What would you actually be specifically looking for?
Once you pick the swim, how do you then approach that part of it?
Yeah, I'd be I'd be out in the boat. I'd have my prodding stick. I'd have my echo, fish finder, whatever you would choose to use. I'd certainly do like Nick said, mark my spots out, whether there's slopes, whether there's slight drop-offs or anything like that, weed beds. I think it's that big here and the wind changes around. I think my tactics, I'd have 2 rods each, so it'd be 4 rods if you and your partner. I'd definitely have one if it were in deeper water, just for a night, just to see if there's anything there. I don't mean 80 metres plus, but I mean a reasonable depth.
Deeper than the rest of the rods.
Deeper than the rest, And I'd say I think the weed is I'd put one in the weed on my first night, see if they're in there, depending on how thick it is, and I'd just have a few scattered about.
I think from a European point of view, the guys will know the whole Z baiting technique probably more than the guys in the
Certainly,
UK.
yeah.
But that's how I would approach it. And if you guys sort of, if you want to ask a bit more about the Z baiting technique, then check out the World Carp Classic Facebook and Twitter. But basically, picture a Z running sort of parallel to the bank, and basically you have each one of your 4 rods on the points of the Z. So basically you've got one short, long, and you bait up in that system as well. And obviously that bounces them technically backwards and forwards,
Yes,
and also
yeah.
gets you in different depths of water.
It certainly does, yeah, and that would be, I mean, I've been asked quite a lot from various anglers, our sponsored anglers, how would you do it, Gerard, how would you do it? I mean, it's a big place, there's a lot of undertow, especially when that wind picks up. I think I'd be going for big baits, definitely chops.
When you say a big bait,
I'd be going for probably 20 mil plus, up to 26s, I think.
with a snowman?
With a snowman, yeah.
Okay.
I think I can't get too much away. I might be fishing it next year, Nick.
I'll say now I will fish it next year. But
Yes,
personally, I would actually start quite small.
Yeah.
In comparison to you, I'm not talking about 12 millers on a size 8.
Yeah,
But I would definitely be virtually exactly the same as I would fish my water in the UK.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, I want bites.
exactly.
I'm not really fussed about sort of picking out the better fish, the specimens, because at the end of the day, I just want as much action as possible. And if that comes from tench to start with, I'm not really that bothered, to be fair. So I'd literally be starting maybe with an 18 and a 14 on a snowman.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds
and
good.
a sort of a size 4 hook.
A little PVA bag or a little stick or a string or anything like that, or just a bit of foam right up.
To be honest, because I'd probably be baiting from the boat, I wouldn't bother with. I'm not going to say any more about the other way of fishing.
Yes,
but I
yeah,
probably
I'm
wouldn't
trying to
bother-
prize it out. I'm trying to
I
prize
probably
it.
wouldn't bother with a PVA bag or stick or anything in that regard, because the toe, as you say, was so big that bag's going to be gone within 30 seconds. And
Yes,
we saw that
yeah.
on the
Well, that was one of the things that was very apparent from the underwater footage that we did. When the bait was actually dropped in, because we had the cameras right down at the bottom of the lake, you could see that any particles and stuff, there's an undertow, and literally within a very short space of time, all the particles that have been dropped down, they're gone. And only when even with
the
some
smaller
of the,
stuff.
exactly, yeah.
The sort of powders and stuff. I won't give too much away for the person that's fishing, because obviously they're on the bank now. But they were fishing what very similar to a method ball that we would do in the UK. But the mix was very light and fluffy.
Yeah.
And it was breaking up within 30 seconds.
Again, that
and
goes
it
on
was
your
gone.
depth as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
when
yeah.
you're dropping it.
Yeah, this was being washed. Obviously, the scent and everything else is still embedded, and obviously that was doing a lot of attraction. But I think you would sort of
I'd
try and keep your baits in the water properly, and I'd be after
certainly with that
anything that came
undertow,
along.
lots and I mean, there'd be a lot of preparation if I was fishing this next year. I mean, I'd be using a lot of liquids, rehydrating my baits,
Yep.
refreezing, rehydrating my baits. I'd want as much flavour, attraction coming out of that bait as I possibly could.
Yeah.
I'd be
I guess
using-
there'll be quite a lot of people that'll be quite interested in that whole rehydration thing, and I'm sure we can get you on the Facebook, or you can pass
Yes.
any questions on,
Yep.
because that's an art form in itself.
It certainly is, yeah. It's
and
just
you guys-
liquids. That's what
But you're
I'm
talking about refreezing, freezing,
Yes, yeah.
and stuff like that. Everyone thinks once it's been thawed out for 20 seconds, you've got to throw it in the bin or use it.
Yeah.
But obviously you're advocating something slightly different. So I think that's something that you might well be able to answer.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Well, that's really good. Well, thank you, Gerard. I'd just like to thank you very much for coming on the show this evening, and obviously over the next few days you'll be welcome to come back, and we're going to talk about the fish that have been caught and where they've been caught.
That's
and
why I'm
discuss
here,
that
Ross.
with you.
I'm dying to get out on the bank and do some
Absolutely.
interviews with the anglers. That's why I'm here. So hopefully from tomorrow we'll have a bit going out on the TV and have some good footage for everybody who's watching.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for coming on this evening, and look forward to catching up
Thanks
with you
very
later
much,
on.
Ross.
Thank
Been
you.
a pleasure.
Cheers.
Thank you, Nick. Well, it's my first time at the WCC, and it's such a fantastic place. As soon as we come over the hill at Bolsena, my initial thoughts were just, wow, I've never seen a lake as big in my life. It's not a lake, it's actually like the sea. I found out about 3 weeks ago that I was actually coming to the World Carp Classic, so it's been a little bit short preparation, but we're here now and we're going to have a fantastic time. Here we have a little compartment so you can put all your PVA in, little bits of hooks, baiting needles, etc. Keeps it separate. So if anything gets wet inside, it's not going to, like your PVA bags or your PVA mesh, keeps it dry, so it's going to be fine. And then inside, as you can see here, every competitor receives some of the new Crave boilies. Crave's doing excellent in England and throughout Europe, so we thought we'd give everybody that to try. They also get some of the fluoro two-tone pop-ups, this being the strawberry and coconut. As you can see inside, call them two-tone because you've got your strawberry and your coconut colours there. And finally, we have a packet of the new Ace Razor Point hooks, which were launched earlier this year, and we have various products like baiting needles, multiple tools, strip easers, etc. But that's a surprise when you get your bucket. Who knows what's going to be in it, guys?
I'd like to welcome Daryl back to the show this evening. Welcome back, Daryl. I think one of the questions that came up earlier on is perhaps something that I'm sure some of the viewers actually like to have some more details about. And indeed, if there's any questions that are arising, please ask us, and we'll be happy to answer them live on the show here. But the question was really about the qualifier in America, and then what the plans for future expansion there.
Okay, I'll try and answer that question. I mean, as you know, the qualifiers were a big thing for us when we first met in Vienna, and I think the question was about the USA. So specifically, can I say we're going to do a qualifier in USA right now? I can't say for sure, but we definitely want to. I have actually had conversations. We do have a distributor in America and also a recent new distributor, and they already organise quite a few big events all around America. So if they're watching, I'm sure they'll be very keen to get on board. And my phone will probably be ringing tomorrow to say, yeah, we'll do it for sure. So
it's probably ringing now.
Yeah, it's on silent. It's on silent. So, but no, for sure, I think we've got a very good chance of doing a qualifier in America. I have also spoken to our distributor in Japan, who's also very keen to do qualifiers. As I said to you, I think earlier, the big obstacle for them is the logistics of actually getting from Japan to Italy, and same for USA. But hopefully we can provide a solution.
Well, one of the things, I was talking in depth with the South African teams that have come across, and what they've done is they literally flew from South Africa. They had a reel and their end tackle, and that was it.
Yeah.
Everything else is available for them here on site. So in terms of the logistics, prior to that, they had full containers of equipment actually shipped over. But I think certainly looking at the experience that they've actually had, and in terms of what there is available locally, I think that's that will make it a lot easier to get the international anglers from the qualifiers over. I think that certainly would be a good thing.
Yeah.
I think for those guys that wanted to come over here on their own bat as well, outside of the World Carp Classic, that's a really interesting thing to know, because it's a hell of a schlap driving, isn't it, to get out here?
Yeah.
And obviously we all work, and we've all got limited time, and the fact that you could fly into Rome Airport and 2 hours later be on the bank and your gear ready to rock.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't have boats in the UK, for example, as well, do we? So we'd have to probably hire or buy something specifically for it anyway.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you can fish such an enormous place, and it's still quite easy, really.
And I think that's something we can look into in the future as well, because I think the easier it is for anglers to physically get here and to be able to participate, fly in, an hour and a half, 2 hours up the road, and you're here.
It's an easy drive. It's a very easy drive.
Yeah, that's 100% what I would do if I was going to come out here on my own with a couple of mates or whatever. I would definitely just bring the bare essentials, sleeping bag, tackle box, reels and buzzers, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then I would rely, the gear that I've seen that the guys have hired is top end, so I'd have no concern using what was here already.
Where have they actually hired it from then? Is it a tackle shop or?
Yeah, just locally.
Okay.
I mean, there's a very big distributor locally, Paolo from Freetime. He's actually helped the South African team, and they said it was great.
He helped us on live TV as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good.
So, but I think looking at the different things that are going on, what we've got, I think looking at the qualifying events that are happening, I think the intention is that it really is taken down to, if you like, to make it accessible to all anglers in all countries, and I think that's one of the exciting things that as we move forward with the plans for 2014, there's going to be a lot of new qualifiers in new countries, and I think along with that all helps with the excitement growing to which is the pinnacle when you get here.
Yeah, I think, as I said, that's why we really want to do the qualifiers, because it opens it up to everybody. And already, the World Cup Classics is such a big thing in Europe and Eastern Europe. It's massive, and we'd love to be able to do that in the UK as well.
It's mind blowing how big it is, really. As we were saying earlier, you don't really get. We've even got someone from the Sudan here this year.
Yeah, Sudan and Lebanon.
And the first time they've been
Slovenia.
represented here. Yeah, so 27 countries. It's huge, isn't it? And that's not just 27 pairs. That's just 27 different countries, and several countries have got a number of different pairs represented.
Sure.
So I think we worked out we had over 270 anglers here. It's enormous.
But it's great. Some of the celebrities that are actually participating in the event. There's Johan Linden this year. He's 4 times world kickboxing champion. I think he's the current champion.
He's a hard man.
I tell you what, he is a hard man. Yeah. When you actually shake his hand or you tap him on the back, he's just like a power pack of muscle.
Well, we'll put some pictures up on the World Cup Classic Facebook later of some pictures of him during the tug of war at the Gladiator Games a couple of nights back.
His muscles.
Well, I don't think the others needed to be there. Let's put it that way. I think he could have been this team on his own.
That's it.
But you can check that out on our Facebook later and see some of the pictures from the Gladiator Games.
I think also the likes of Ardy Velkamp. Ardy was a former Dutch bodybuilding champion, and Ardy kind of got himself in fine shape to be at the head of the parade, just with a Roman helmet on this year. And we left out the horses and chariots because we did that last year. But Ardy is a real character, and for him to actually don the appropriate clothing as a Roman centurion, or combination between, I guess, Roman centurion and a bit of a gladiator there, he was quite keen to get that kit on.
I bet he was. I think there's a few people quite keen for him to get it off. But
indeed.
There wasn't much to take off.
No, there wasn't.
But I think Ardy's always very popular in terms of wherever he goes, and particularly when he shows off his physique in the town square, there were a lot of cameras taking photographs. So good old Ardy.
That's something I noticed. Obviously, there were a couple of other sort of events, sort of worldwide carp fishing related, and when I saw the draw yesterday, obviously I was doing a lot of the photography. It really was a who's who, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You had some enormous names in carp fishing just here to watch the draw. They weren't even in the match. And you had media guys from Solar, the Dynamite guys. There was a lot of very important people from the fishing world here, because it was such an important moment for and you guys up on the stage were saying how the grown men were physically shaking with anticipation.
That's the first time you've been up on stage now with me actually, so helping conduct the opening ceremony. But explain a bit about that, because that was
it was an amazing experience again. After the parade and the band and everything else, that's some way to open an event. And I've been to some big events, but none that have opened quite so grand as that. And just being on stage and watching, like I say, the big names in carp fishing come up, and some guys were literally shaking so much they couldn't read. And it's a lot of nervous people out there.
It's a big deal, isn't it? When you're a named angler, famous in the fishing world, there's a lot of pressure on you to achieve something, especially if you pull out a flyer.
You want to get a good draw.
Yeah, you should do all right there, mate. And
exactly. Yeah.
Sitting there thinking, oh no, if I don't get it right now, everyone's put me on a pedestal and I'm going to crash.
I think the guys that, like I say, they come in the fish this event, and the well-known anglers, they do put themselves up for some pressure, and if they're on a good peg, they've got to produce, and if they're not on a good peg, they've even got pressure as well.
Definitely.
So.
But in fairness, the mayor, I think, was the best dressed.
Hugo Boss.
He was a very, very smartly dressed mayor, that one.
He was Italian.
Very chic Italian, very well dressed, and he looked the part, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think to see everybody up on stage and to really see what was going on there, it was a tremendous moment. And
a lot of excitement, and the sort of, when you did see the actual individuals that were there, past world champions, past World Carp Classic champions, the likes of Lee Jackson and Rob Tuff, Martin Locke, the Italians who got a massive cheer, and we know obviously the likes of Daniele and Riccardo personally. We know how well they know this lake. And if they pulled a decent peg, they had a very good chance. Obviously, they're using your guys' bait,
our bait,
we know if a fish goes over it, they're going to eat it. At the end, there was a lot of excitement. It was I thought he was brilliant. I really did. You know, as a first timer,
Yeah.
as a WCC virgin, I was gutted I wasn't
That was
fishing.
it.
Yeah, I was gutted that I wasn't there, and I bet you were the same.
Yeah.
Wish you'd got you some rods.
Oh
out,
God,
but-
yeah, just a bit, yeah.
Well, I think it's great to have had the people from Bolsena welcome the anglers in the way that they have. I mean, really, they have really embraced the whole occasion, and I think that's it's such a friendly place here. It
I couldn't
really
believe
is.
how many came out.
Yeah.
You know, it was
Yeah.
peeing with rain.
Yeah.
When we
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't during it. We were lucky.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
stopped like the sort of a moment of
Yeah.
happiness. But I mean, there must have been several hundred people standing in the absolute torrential rain at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then as it stopped raining, more and more sort of emerged from the bars.
Yeah.
And as with the camera, I couldn't get anywhere near the town square. So
Well, we're talking about the bars. It was quite interesting because the actual bars, ran out of beer. There was
because you were there all night.
Really?
I wasn't there all night. I was absolutely parched up on stage with Daryl.
Yeah.
That's thirsty work. That
Yeah.
was. That's for sure.
I think the story, obviously, the rain was torrential before the parade, and obviously we were thinking about not doing the parade at one point, which I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, I really hope we do, and I'm so glad we did. But beforehand, you know, it was raining so heavy, some of the locals were opening the doors and letting us shelter inside their houses
Yeah.
to stop us getting wet. So that was just, again, fantastic. And like you say, the vibe around the town,
Buzzing,
just,
isn't it? Really,
it's
yeah.
buzzing straight away, and you just fit in straight away.
Well, there's plenty of information on Facebook, and of course we've got daily shows over the next few days from 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock every night. So
So that's 7 local time, 6 in the UK.
correct,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that's local time. But what will happen is over the course of the next few days, as we have the photographs of the fish and the videos of fish and things that have been caught during the day, we'll be able to bring these to the live shows in the
There'll be
evening.
less of us boring gits.
That's exactly the way.
And more
Yeah.
about the fish.
more photos and videos and stuff, and we can get off.
In fact, I think this is probably one of the hardest shows to put on. It's the first one, and with it being, well, there's no fish yet. It's
It might have
great.
been. It might have been in the last hour.
Well, there could well have been.
But there's obviously a lot of people, as we said earlier, aren't actually fishing yet.
No,
Yeah.
they're just setting it all,
They're
setting
getting
the
ready
stall
for the
out.
morning,
Yeah,
so-
setting the stall out and getting everything ready.
I think we'll definitely wake up to fish, and obviously people can go to worldcarpclassic.com and see the live leaderboard throughout the whole
Yes.
event.
Yeah.
Which I think is obviously it's another first in fishing, and I think that's awesome because I know a lot of with events it's very difficult, especially from outside of the
Sure.
surroundings, to keep in touch with what's going on.
Well, that's exactly what happened last year because I mean, the event started, and then probably around about this sort of time, fish started to get caught, and not just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. It's like 5, 6,
Yeah.
7, 8.
Yeah, when the fish come, they all tend to come. Yeah, big
And
shows.
You can actually, when you looked at the times the fish were caught, you could see there must have been a massive shock.
Yeah.
You see the travel, couldn't
Absolutely
you?
shocked.
From what it literally went boom, boom, boom all the
Yeah.
way down the bank.
Yeah.
Didn't it? But I think that's really important, and people should definitely check that out. Obviously, you'll see what pegs people are in. You can relay that back to the map that's on the
Yes,
on the
yeah.
worldcarpclassic.com website as well, and you can really visualise where people are. And obviously, the live leaderboard, as it suggests, is as up to date as you can get. And combine that with sort of all the Facebook updates and stuff, you should be able to really keep in touch with what's going on the banks.
Well, certainly some of the guys that are participating in the event, and the guys from Northern Baits in particular, they're not worried about the weather at all. You know, they're used to actually being out in the bivvy in -30. So
I think if you check our YouTube
Yeah.
channel out, there's a video of you fishing with them, cod fishing, isn't there?
that's right. Now I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, that was freezing.
Yeah, on the
Now-
World Carp Classic YouTube channel, there was a really awesome video that you did with those guys.
I've seen that picture in the magazine. Looks like he's about to be pulled overboard.
I think he was about 20 seconds later. I think I had to drag him out. Yeah.
And that really wasn't the bottom either. There was a big fish on there.
It looked it.
But
The weather's definitely going to play a big part, obviously.
Yeah.
Especially on a lake this size, and I think in the next sort of 48 hours, if what's supposed to happen does happen, and it's all gone to plan. I mean, the weather forecast has been spot
good,
on.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, those guys over on the opposite bank to where we are, over Marta,
Yeah.
Cabo de Monte, all down that beach line, they're going to get absolutely battered.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, if those
The
pegs
wind,
aren't
yeah,
in,
yeah.
I mean, I saw the guys, Ron and Remco from earlier, they put 2 pegs in each hole.
Yeah.
And I think I'd probably be putting 3 in if I was on
I
that
think
far
so, I
bank.
think so. Yeah, then waves are going to get bigger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the boats are going to be triple tied down.
Yeah.
But as we all know, that is prime.
Yeah.
I mean, if the bigger the waves, the more the fish really
Yeah.
when it works
I
out.
say, as Gerard said, I mean, we've been all the way around the lake. We've stopped off at various places, talking to other anglers, not just the anglers fishing Dynamite. And yeah, those guys are looking pretty positive and optimistic about the next few days.
Yeah, definitely. I think just the way that the wind is moving them on such a large water, you've got to feel confident when it's blowing at you. Doesn't mean to say you won't catch anywhere else. I do think there'll be fish from virtually everywhere, if not everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's that level of just having a good week's fishing to winning the World Cup Classic, isn't it? I mean, it's a pretty big deal.
Well, even this morning, I think you were talking earlier, there's plenty of fish been seen, and talking to a couple of the guys in not far from Bivy City, and fish were crashing as we were talking. So the guys were very happy. We've got
one which I haven't put up
That's
yet.
one of the images of right where Bivy City is. That's just taken literally down on the bank space there. It's
well, when you set the fire, obviously we had a nice fireworks display, didn't we?
Yes, yeah.
15 to celebrate the 15th year of the event, which is what an achievement that is in its own right. And then we had one for good luck, but I've actually got on video fish crashing underneath the fireworks.
Really?
Yeah, which I didn't realise until I saw it earlier.
Incredible.
Another question?
Here we go. Another question that's come in. Could you make a top 10 swims from last year and tell us who they are right now? Well, in fact, yes, we can, because if you go to the World Carp Classic website, all that information is on there. Top right-hand corner, it shows the details of all the fish that were caught, the times that they were caught, and then over and above that, the different sections. So all of that information is on the top right-hand side of the website.
So that means who's in those top 10 pegs now?
Exactly.
Right,
you can see. So literally just underneath the Dynamite Baits logo, that's it. Where all the fish were caught, hit that button, and all that information's there.
Okay. There's a lot of information on that website at the moment, isn't there?
There is.
You've got daily blogs going up as well, photography blogs. You've got the new World Carp Classic 2013 Instagram. I mean, there's an awful lot of ways to keep in touch with what's going on at the moment, isn't there?
There is, and I think one of the new prizes, Darryl, that we've got for this year, I think it's a really cool prize. I mean, no matter who you are as an angler, it's always something to actually almost dream of, having your own bait made for you and your own packs for packaging. But that's the prize for the winning pair this year.
Yeah, that's one of the big prizes that we want to do something a little bit different. Obviously, you could easily do X amount of kilos and whatever for how many years, but I think actually having your own bait made and receiving that volume of bait is a great prize.
So how will that work? They'll talk to one of the guys at your end?
Yeah, we'll probably get them across maybe, depending where they come from, and we'll get them into our sort of product development area, and we'll look at their ingredients, we'll show them some of the ingredients, and together we'll make them a great bait, and maybe we'll call it a name, and you never know, it might even go on the market.
Shelves a year later.
You never know.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the show's it's going to be daily, so literally from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock local time, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock UK time. A lot of information on Facebook, a lot of information on Twitter. Hashtags, how does that work?
Hashtags is quite a simple thing, and I'll talk about it from two sides. The first side is obviously when you put a post up on Twitter or Facebook. Most people just associate it with Twitter, but it can be used on Facebook as well. Basically, it's a way of monitoring a conversation or a topic that's happening in any sense. So if you always finish your post or question with hashtag WCC15, doesn't matter if it's capitals or not, all one word, WCC15, that will automatically log itself on that topic. So if someone wants to see what's going on at the press of a button, if they search hashtag WCC15 in their search bar on Facebook or Twitter, everything that includes that hashtag is available for them to see.
Great.
So if it's all in one place, and hopefully it gets trending, and more people see it, and it gets wider.
Well, Nick and Darryl, we're just coming to the end of this first show in terms of the World Carp Classic for this year. Tomorrow, same time, same place. We're looking forward to actually putting the program on and actually showing some of the fish that have been caught,
some fish.
And some of the videos of the competitors, and also showing from where they came around the lake. So from us this evening, from the World Carp Classic on the shores of Lake Bolsena, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and good night from us.
Good night.
See you later.